So we Team SMF, we started our journey in 2018. So we started around 2018 October. Then it was started by only 14 members. We 14 members, like-minded people, grouped up, and we started our services like doing some knowledge sharing in orphanage orphanages in Hyderabad. Okay, so we trained them on dancing, and we trained them on subject wise, so music wise. So there are multiple ways. I mean, we started our things, and we keep doing those for around 6 to 7 months, and we feel that we should be registered as an NGO. Then that's where we have already registered, and we have been doing these things from last 2.5 to 3 years successfully, with all the support from the volunteers and the team members that we have. By today, I mean, we have around 100 plus volunteers and 100 plus team members we have in the Team SMF. So it's been a journey of 3 years. So it was quite good, and it's the time when we need to, when we are unable to support the needy directly, we thought to go ahead with remote support, like sharing the knowledge online. So that's the point where we started trainings. We started with this, and we will continue further, like from the school level as well, like from fifth standard to PG. We'll have our trainers ready, and we'll have the teachers ready, and then we'll keep hosting that meetings day by day based on the trainers availability. Okay, so let's quickly see our SMF. I mean, SMF stands for Surender Memorial Foundation. We call, or we project our name as Team SMF, as we are collectively working. Yeah, just someone text. Fine. So let us see a few of us, few of our activities as part of SMF. So from last uh, few years, I mean, from last 3 years, like we try to create awareness on the suicide prevention. So because see, we in general, we every day we listen one of the case, or every week we listen few suicide cases, right, in our surroundings, or else relatives or friends. So that is where I mean, our SMF started. Actually, one of our very known friend who lost his life, who, I mean, he committed suicide. That's where we felt like we need to start something to stop this suicide. Okay, we are trying to achieve that. First, we need to avoid suiciding. So we worked on the ground level. What might be the reasons to I mean, to commit a suicide? So we spoke to some doctors, and we also spoke to the young students in few colleges, and we got the feedback. Based on the feedback, we have made our uh, actions into the surveys, actually. So the main thing that we observed, the person Surinder is one of our very close friend. So he lost his job, or else he was not able to get the great job. So he committed suicide in that pressure. So which is unfortunate. So that's where we definitely thought this should not repeat again. Okay, so I mean, we started like training the people in the orphanages, like they should see, everyone will support in education, right? So like paying the money for the school fee, they'll support food. I mean, many people go to the orphanages. It's not like only we or some other. So many people go to the orphanages and support the kids. But what we felt is like, see, along with that, we need to share some extracurricular activities. Like if they are interested, if the kids are very active in singing, or else dancing, or in music, so whatever may be the willing thing to them, we try to provide the trainers in the orphanages. And then we did few practices, and we also visited one of the college in Hyderabad, and then we told do's and don'ts, and how to handle the pressure, how to get the job. Okay, so these kind of things might at least avoid suicides at present one. And orphanage kids we started with, and we are also in plan with counseling the parents that who are working. I mean, parents in the sense, the mother and father works, they go for work, and they leave their child in home, or else they'll not exactly prefer, I mean, to take care of their kids. So we are also counseling those parents and all the parents, okay, to make sure to spend some time with the kids. Okay, so that is to avoid, I mean, prevent the suicide. In the current generation, we are also visiting the colleges and also multiple platforms. Whatever we can do, we are trying our best. So in order to uh, prevent suicide. So it is not only like saving life with suicide prevention. There are multiple things we can save life, right? So that's where blood donation came in, and we took up the blood donations, and we have around hundreds of blood donors with us, and we are trying to arrange the blood donors in the emergency. So around 100 plus or some I mean, I'm not sure about the count, but we have been doing that from last 2.5 years actively on the blood donation. And also environmental wise, we have done some awareness programs like traffic regulations and turning off the engine, uh, sorry, yeah, turning off the engine at the signal. When the signal is red, then you have to turn off your engine, so that you will save the environment. If all together turn off the engine, definitely you will be a person who helped the environment. Okay, so that's what. And the next thing is education support. That's what we are in. So this is these all four, I mean, the four things that we tried doing till date are been happening only with the helping hands. See, one of the person who came in and he told that he voluntarily told that he will give sessions. Some one of the person came in and he is interested to donate blood. Yes, he came in. So, and other person, he tried creating a, I mean, awareness program. Like he printed some awareness code on his helmet and on bike, and he's trying to create his own awareness way. I mean, they choose and they came in voluntarily and they have did the things. So all these things are happening only with the help of the people who are joining in. Okay, so helping hands are definitely required. So with the help of all the volunteers and team members, we are able to do this. And I would request everyone to participate at your level. I mean, if you are interested in any of the service that you are interested, you can participate. Okay, so this is about brief introduction about, I mean, the team SMF, and these are the few pictures that what we tried focusing on our orphanages and letting them know about the subject. See, this is about taking a session at the point of, I mean, there was a birthday event we have done, and there is a small introduction, and also there was a concept explanation. And then here there is a dance practice going on with the dance trainer who has an academy in the Hyderabad. He voluntarily came in and he trained the orphanage kids. So this is in Dilsukh Nagar, this is in Uppal, and this is in Chandanagar. He's the music keyboard trainer. He himself carried the keyboard to the orphanage and he trains the kid. See, he's playing. I mean, they spend some time and then they'll train. And these people will get some confidence that there is something else. I can earn money at some time. If I'm not good at study, that's okay. There is something else. So that's how we build the confidence in kids who are in orphanages. And this is one of the orphanage in Lingampalli, near Lingampalli railway station, New Life Foundation. So the people who we are trying to train them in dance. And this is Taekwondo. The people who are interested, and I mean, we try, I mean, those who are at the age of 10 or 11, we try to train them on Taekwondo. He's the Taekwondo master. He trained the kids. And this is the other one, the event that we conducted. If they are interested in art, so we conducted a contest within them and among them, and we went with the audience poll, and based on the ranking, we have awarded some, I mean, some prize amount and also a prize, a gift. And so it's kind of encouraging the kids and building the confidence in them. This is one of the program which we discussed just now. And coming to the blood donation one, see, these are the slides you are seeing, right? Whatever you see, I mean, Facebook, WhatsApp, Insta, wherever, it's Snapchat, YouTube. Okay, normal contacts. If you check, I mean, if you go through our volunteers profile, wherever you see, you'll see our name along with a blood group. See, here we have O positive for Bandari Karthik. Here Hari B positive, Chai Shankar, he is B positive, Nikhil A positive, Akhil B positive. See, the contacts are saved as this in the phone. Okay, so I would, at this point of time, I would request everyone who have joined in the meeting, please update your name along with your blood group. Okay, so this just, I mean, that's up to you, but we would request at least you update your Facebook or else WhatsApp with your B positive or whatever it is, the blood group that you have. Okay, And so that would help your friends know that you are of that particular blood group. Whenever there is an emergency, they'll reach out to you. So that will definitely help them in the emergency. So that is the main motto behind the blood donation part. So you have to, I mean, it's good that it is good to donate blood. It's not only saving life, the others life. It also keep you healthy. Okay, if you donate your blood every 3 months, then definitely you will be staying healthy, and that's good to purify your own blood. Okay, so please try to donate blood and rename yourself now who have joined in the Zoom meeting. Please rename yourself. If you can see few of the participants, though those guys are just volunteers in the team SMF. We follow that name along with the blood group. Okay, so I would request you to do that and encourage us. That's it. Thank you so much, the people who are updating. And let's move on to the next slide. So this is about COVID support. In the first wave of COVID, I mean, there was lockdown for a long time, right? So that's where we started our grocery support. Whatever that we can do, we tried doing that in the COVID times. And this is about last winter. This was done in the last winter, giving the blankets to the needy people, the people who sleep along the roadside. Okay, so these are the few pictures about that COVID and winter support. So this is one of the awareness thing on the bike. So turn off the engine active signal red, and then if the people, I mean, at least one of the person might get motivated with this, and he'll turn off the engine. So that's where our efforts represent. We represent our efforts with the quotations. We try our level best to create an awareness. So this is about the quote about blood donation: donate blood and be a hero of someone's life. Okay, this is our one of the way of creating awareness. Okay, so we every time we say that we have done this, we have done that, just because of each and everyone's contribution. There are multiple people, I mean, they're supporting actively and passively. Like they support in finance support, I mean, they encourage us with their motivation, and they'll encourage us. And there are many people who support us, not only the active on the ground. There are, yeah, go ahead. So yeah, so this is about a brief introduction about team SMF. And in today's training we have Srinivas Kottakonda. He has experience of I mean, he's working as a DBA. So I would hand over to Srinivas from here. And thank you all for joining in. This is, I mean, I forgot to introduce myself. And this is Sharath. I'm working as a software employee, and I'm with this organization from last 3 years. Okay, and I have donated my blood around 10 times in last 3 years. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Srinivas Kottakonda. Yeah, hope all are doing good, and good morning to everyone. So before starting this session, I just wanted to introduce myself, like what is my experience and what are the things I'm doing, like uh, IT experience and the different positions where I have gone through. So just wanted to give a brief discussion, a brief overview of myself. Yeah, coming to this thing, like my name is, as I said, like it's Srinivas Kottakonda. I have total 11 years of experience into IT industry. So I have worked in different roles. Like I just started my career as a software engineer. Then currently I'm holding as an architect, okay, in one of the company. Coming to the technical experience, like I have just started my career working as a SQL Server developer, and now like I have some experience into Oracle, Postgres, SQL Server, complete experience, and have experience into MSBI, like, which is an ETL tool, which is built for data warehousing. Okay, and reporting wise, like I have some experience into Tableau and reporting tools as well. So this comes about my experience and about my details. So before starting the session, I would like to have some introduction about the people who have joined here as a participant. So I'll just call their name, and just you can unmute yourself and give a brief, like any 1 or 2 minutes of an introduction before starting the session. Okay, so I would like to call Lokesh. Could you please unmute yourself and just have it introduce yourself?
My name is Rakesh and I have studied in Sri Venkatan Engineering College. I am
Okay,
from
Lokesh.
Tirupati.
Okay, good, Lokesh.
That's
How
it.
do you come to know about this like this session?
My brother suggested me to join this and I
Okay.
have applied to that.
Okay. So like basically, as we wanted to say, like we are focusing on the freshers basically. So who are just going to trying for a job and who are basically who are studying and who are looking for a job. That this session will help them definitely into
Yeah.
like if you're turning your career path into a database thing, because nowadays like coming to these things like mostly coming future we could see that there is a good enhancements in the database thing, like the
Yeah.
analysis part of the data science and everything. Okay, thanks for that, Lokesh.
Okay,
Yeah.
welcome.
Revant Rayabarapu. Yeah, can you please unmute yourself and have a quick introduction of yourself, Revant? Hello, Revant. Can you unmute Revant? Okay, let's go with Shravani Gunda.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Shravani.
I am Shravani from Adhikari Basa,
Okay,
BTech final year of EC branch.
okay, good. Shravani. Yeah. So how do you came to know about this training?
Actually, my brother is a part of team SMF.
Okay. Okay. So I think Saga, right?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ram. Thanks.
thank you.
And I'd like to call to
Morning,
know.
sir.
Yeah, good morning. Who is this?
Sir, I am Renu. Just
Okay.
I have network issues, so that's why.
Okay. Okay.
I am pursuing my second year BTech in Anurag University in the Department of AI.
Okay.
I came to know about this course by just now.
Okay.
I have
Good.
joined it, posted by my brother.
Okay.
Yesterday I was engaged with the project
Mm-hmm.
of PostgreSQL. So I want to know more about it. So I joined this. It may helpful.
Sure. Yeah, that definitely that will helpful. And even like if you have some time, even you can support the team as well, because they're doing a fabulous job, like doing the things at least as a
Yes,
service. Yeah, it's not about all the time we are just giving the financial support, right? So it could be in different ways, like the blood donation or whatever it may be. See, I came forward to just give this session, so it's not that something we can give to the society. So I
yes.
think you can even help them out if you have some time. Okay. Yeah.
Sure,
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Let's take final one. Let's introduce anyone of them. Let me pick one. Naresh, can you just unmute yourself? Aita Naresh. Okay. Archana Reddy, can you unmute yourself? Archana Reddy. Yeah, Avinash. Anyone? Like Avinash, can you unmute yourself and just give a brief discussion, like brief overview of yourself? Yeah, feel free actually. No need to like it's an interactive session. Okay, it's not like I'm a teacher and your students here. Yeah, and Nanda Kishore, please can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Hey, hi, this is Nandakishore.
Hi,
Uh,
Nitish.
I'm from Hyderabad
Yeah.
and I'm working for Intercontinental Exchange where we support for New York Stock Exchange, NYSE.
Okay.
And my qualification is like I did my PG, post graduation diploma management
Mhm.
from All India Management Association.
Okay.
And I had done my MCOM from Usmania University. Basically, I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay.
So I have a work experience of nearly 5 years. So I'm looking forward to get knowledge more about SQL. So
Okay.
that's the reason I am in and thanks for you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandakishore. And I thank even Team SMF, like they have thought this way, just that may help the people who are just looking for a job change or like they wanted to upgrade their skill set. So even I would like to thank them. And if you have something, just help them out. Like if you can, the Team SMF to do like voluntary support or what can you can do from your end.
Sure, definitely. That sounds good and I'll make
Yeah,
sure that.
sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
Thanks, Nandakishore. Yeah. So let's start the session now. Okay. Uh, So before going to the session, I would like to give the context, like content what I'm going to teach you first. Then mostly today, like I'll be focusing on the technical concepts, like the basic concepts before going to the SQL Server training. So you need to know some prerequisites basically, if you wanted to. So these prerequisites, you need to have an idea so that you can have a good experience, like you can have a good exposure to these particular sessions. So before that, like what is this course about basically? So this course is about total like SQL MS SQL Server training. Okay. So this is mainly focusing the freshers and who doesn't have any knowledge in SQL Server and the database management system, even like who are just freshers and who have joined their career and going into this particular platform. Okay, this course will definitely help them to upgrade their skill set as well as to have a knowledge in this particular thing. Because nowadays, when we come to this, because mostly when you see the projects now, the future upcoming projects will be completely into the data thing. Okay, because everything, the development and everything is coming to a closure. And now the main focus will be the analysis. Okay, how the data is coming and what are the things we need to analyze. Okay, and how it will be using to even it could be machine learning or it could be artificial intelligence, how these data will help them. So all the things which are coming merely future, like which are going to come, the upcoming projects will be totally depends upon the data. So for that, you need to have you need to have a knowledge in say in any of the databases. Okay, that will definitely help you out to become to grow up yourself, to make yourself in the role of data scientist, data engineer, okay, data analytics. Okay, in this way, like it definitely fits you. Okay, and it is like evergreen thing. The database is evergreen thing. There is nothing that you cannot, like it is not going to stop anymore. Okay, it will be continuously growing and there will be no stop point for them because everything will be dealing with the data. So that is the reason. So when you learn any of these databases, it's not only the SQL Server, it could be Oracle, it could be MySQL, it could be DB2, it could be any of the databases. That is like it is not a stopping point and it will be always a beginning point where you can grow yourself and there will be no stopping point for that. Okay, so that is the reason, like you can if there's any possibility, you can just choose your way in this way and you can grow yourself in this. Okay, so coming to the course content, so what will be teaching here you like what are the things I'm going to teach you here. So basically, I'll be concentrating on the database objects, like how what are the different types of database objects, and like it could be tables, views, stored procedures. Okay, these are some jargons you can just ignore now. We'll try to let you know like what is what. Okay, in the coming sessions. Okay, if you just think that there's some concept called stored procedure, where I'm going to explain. Okay, and functions, triggers. Okay, in SQL Server. Okay, and as well as like it gives like basically the course what we're going to take here gives you to write some complex queries to retrieve the data. Okay, and to work with the data what the companies are basically expecting you as a fresher or you as a experience from your end. Okay. So what are the prerequisites? Because there could be some people who may not be a technical background. Okay, there will be some persons who are coming to different streams and they wanted to move to the software industry. And what is the prerequisite to learn this SQL Server? Okay, there is no prerequisite or prior experience reset for this session. Okay, so coming to the content. Okay, this will be the course content which will be covered from my basically, like it will be the weekend courses Saturday and Sunday, and mostly it will be 11 to 1 p.m. And if there is any change in the timings, we'll let you know in the Telegram group, or basically we'll be posting you through the Telegram group what we have initiated for this particular training. Okay, so like the course content will be like I'll be just covering what is DBMS, what is DBMS, and different types of like database softwares which are dealing with the databases. Okay, and I'll give some introduction of SQL Server introduction, and coming to the asset properties. What are the asset properties which deals with DBMS and database models? Like I'll be covering you the database models what we have. Coming to the languages, like we have basically 4 different languages, but I'll be covering you 3 here: DDL language, DML, and TCL. Okay, and I'll help you out in writing the simple as well as complex queries and retrieving the data from from the databases. Okay, I'll be covering you the functions, like different functions, and how many types of functions we have, and what are the different functions, inbuilt functions what we have in SQL Server. I'll be going with joins. Okay, and procedures, subqueries, working with the different data types and the triggers. And I'll just give some brief about designing a database, how we are going to design that database, as well as give some idea about the maintaining of the database table sequences with the SQL statements, and how we are going to create the views and how we are going to manage that, and how we are going to ensure the multiple integrity of multiple databases. Okay, and we'll be helping out of creating the process and these things. And final thing is indexes and normalization. Okay, these are the course content which I'm going to cover as part of this sessions what you're going to have in further classes. Okay, so coming to here, like before going to this session, we have something which we wanted to let you know, like the candidates who have joined here. So we are planning for a certificate actually. Okay, so there is some criteria what we have, what we wanted to keep in place. Like we wanted to make sure that if you wanted to have a certificate issued from this team SMF, so we'll be tracking the attendance. Like we are just looking for the people who are joining for most of the sessions, and we'll be tracking the attendance. And one more thing is you need to join the Telegram group basically, like because we wanted to update you, like if anything we wanted to let you know, like all the participants. So please join the Telegram group, and we'll be sharing you the Telegram group in the chat now. If anyone who has missed it, you can join that group, as well as yeah, and one more thing is like there will be an assessment test. Mostly, I'll try to conduct some assessment test so that will help you to just to recollect or to recapture the things what we have discussed. Maybe 1 or 2 assessment tests we'll try to plan. So these are the things like wanted to let you know. Based on this, like we'll try to give the certificate for the candidates. Okay, so hope I'm clear. So if you have any doubts still here, you can just raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and have a discussion. Okay, I'll be giving 5 minutes of your time so that we can just pick some few questions from the audience to have some questions on this, and we'll try to go further. Sharath, you wanted to say something?
Hi, Srinivas.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. This is Prashant here.
Hi, Prashant.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity that you helped us out with the SQL training program.
Okay.
Just wanted to know, like, in this session is recorded, so if we want to refer it again, would we be able to get that recording?
Hi, Prashant.
Yeah, definitely. Like we're just planning for that. We'll be trying to share you these recording sessions. Definitely, we'll be doing that.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
And the session is being recording, Prashant.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I mean, that's the reason I asked, like, if we can get this recording as well for a reference purpose.
We are looking for a platform. Either we have to share it the G Drive link, Google Drive link, or we are looking for a platform, we'll definitely share the recording. Whoever registered for the training will definitely share the recording.
Sure, that would be really great.
No problem. Thank you.
Sharit, you wanted to add any points here?
Yes, coming to the certificate, right? As we already mentioned, please try to join all the sessions. So that is mandatory. If there is any, I mean, as it's a weekend, people might have some programs, but that's okay. But you can go through the recordings and then you join back the next sessions. Okay. So, and we'll conduct definitely minimum 2 assessments based on the score. Then we'll provide the certificates. We want to make it like, if it should be worthy, right? If someone says that there is a certificate from Team SMF, it should worth definitely. So for that, we are maintaining this particular eligibility criteria for certificate issuing. So please try to join the sessions and give your assessments. If you are unable to join the session, no problem. You can ask for the recording link. If we have not shared yet, we will be sharing the link. Okay, so that's it about certificate. And yeah, anytime if you have any question while the session is going ahead, please raise your hand. Once the trainer is completed with his concept, he will ask you to unmute and talk. Please use the option raise hand, and then we'll call out your name once the session is, the concept is done.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, actually the participants who have not yet joined in Telegram group, please let us know so that we can post all the meeting like rescheduling and everything will be posted in Telegram group. So please ensure that you are into Telegram group, and I have also posted this link in the chat. And again, now I will post again now. So please join into the Telegram group, and also people who have missed for the registration. So please register to the link I have mentioned in the chat.
So that helps basically, like, because if you wanted to communicate a group of people, so it will be definitely very easy for us to just communicate to the Telegram group. So people, I just request you, the participants, to join that group so that we can post the things like whatever wanted to be like updates, like even someone has asked about the recording. So in that case, like we can just post the things there. We can just have the collective information from that particular group. So I request all the participants to join the Telegram group. That will help you as well as us to communicate to you. Okay.
Yeah, Renuka, we have seen your message. Akhil, once check Renuka's message. She is not able to join the Telegram, it seems.
Sure, I will.
Yeah, once get in touch with her and get it resolved. Yeah, Srinivas, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, how the session would be, just wanted to give a brief before going to starting the session. So I'll be picking the topics, and I will give some explanation for that. I'll try to provide the explanation for that particular topic, and I'll give for 5 minutes of questionnaire each time, where we can pick some members from the participants who has raised their hand. Mostly I'll try to clarify their questions, and we shall move further. Like, it makes the session some interactive thing, because it's a virtual thing. So in that way, at least we can interact for some time. Okay. So please feel free to ask the questions what you have. So I'll definitely help what I can do that for you. Okay. So let's start with the initial thing. So today, like, mostly we'll be covering a few things what we're going to do. So it will be basically the conceptual thing today, and I will try to let you know like what are the prerequisites to to have the hands-on experience on this. Like, what are the softwares we need to install, and what are the things you need to do before coming for tomorrow's session. I'll let you know this, and I'll give some brief discussion about what is the database and what are the data, what we call as data, and these are the few concepts which are going to be covered in today's session. Okay. Let me open the review of your class today. Okay. So these are the things what we are going to cover today. What is the data and what is database management system, and what is RDBMS. And we are hearing some NoSQL. Like, what does it mean? Basically, NoSQL instance. And we have some properties called ACID properties. So I'm going to deal with that, and data modeling. ER model, like in the data modeling, the basic, the most important model like ER model in relational database management system. So that I'm going to do. And what is entity, what is attribute, and what is the cardinality, and how we are going to install and how we are going to do this thing, like the technical thing, what is the software required for that, I'll just help you out in that. Okay. So if mostly I'll try to cover. If not, like if there is any pending, then we'll be pushing that to the next session. Okay. So first thing. So what is the data? So before going to this database, because everything here will be dealing with the data. Database is nothing but will be dealing most of the cases with the data. So what is data basically? So here coming to the data. Data is nothing but which defines an object or which describes about an object. Okay. Say suppose we shall take an example of a student. Okay. If we take a student, like what we the characteristics of the student would be, what is the age of the particular student, okay, what is the uh, like class he is studying, and what is the name of that particular student, which characterizes that particular object or that particular student. So that is nothing but the data. So which is nothing but a real information which gives or which explains about an object and which about a basically about an object, okay, which characterizes the information and that helps to understand about an object is nothing but a data. Okay, so in that way, like the data will be the data basically will the database will mostly deals with the data. So as I said that which characterizes about an object or about anything is nothing but a data. So what is again a database? So which deals with the data basically, and which makes or which ensures to store the data properly, and which makes us to retrieve the data very easily. Okay, so that is nothing but a database. So before going to this database, so if you remember in 1970s or 1980s, before we have this in hand, the SQL Server or any of the database softwares. So how we are going to maintain the things? So we used to track the things, everything as part of a book, okay, as part of a records or as part of any notes. So we used to do that way. So which is very very troublesome. There could be an end lot of manual errors which happen there. Okay, and there could be lot of maintenance issues which could be there. And it is not that we can just come here and check the things like what are the things which happened in past 2 days or 3 days if you wanted to check. So it is very hard. You need to go back to different n number of pages to see that and to search that information. So it is makes the people very troublesome. So to overcome that kind of thing and to maintain the data in a fashion in such a way that where we can retrieve the data and where we can find some queries and just pull out the data that makes the life very easier. So in that aspects, okay, in that level that has been taken care, and that we got the introduction of this database came into the picture. Okay, previously even when you come to before this software came into the picture or before this any databases came into the picture, they used to maintain the data even in Excel. So like maintaining the data in Excel, and there could be a lot of things which can occur there. There could be manual errors, there could be some updations which got missed out, there could be the reports which has been where we cannot pull the data from that particular reports. So a lot of things could come into the picture. To overcome all this, hello, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I've just muted the participant. Srinivas, please unmute yourself and start. Continue.
Sharath, I would suggest you to disable the mute option for everyone.
Yeah, we'll take care of that option.
Just when it is required for them.
Yes. We'll take care of it in tomorrow's session. I'll ensure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So in that way, like the database will be useful. So basically what is the DBMS here? So DBMS is nothing but a database management system which helps, or which is a software which acts as an intermediate between the database as well as the users. So when it comes to this one, let's do some pictorial representation for that so that you can understand. Let me know if you can see my screen. Let me share my screen once again.
We are able to see the Word,
Okay.
MS Word. Yeah.
Can you see my paint again?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So here, now we have just seen that what is the database, okay, what is how it deals with, and here it is nothing but a DBMS, which acts an intermediate between a database as well as the end user. Okay, with the DBMS will use the security for the data, and it manages the databases as well as it helps in sorting the data, in protecting the data, and this is nothing but the communication channel which helps the user as well as the data to interact. Okay, so this could be some n number of users which are hitting this particular DBM database. So intermediately, this DBMS will take care that in such a way that the data what they're hitting is very secure and there is no corruption in the data. So what is things like which it takes care basically the DBM. So I'm just saying that it is a production like it's try to protect the data, it try to secure the data, and it tries to keep the consistency of the data. How that it takes place? Basically, that happens by some rules. We have a property. We have some rules called ACID properties. So every DBMS, like every DBMS, which every database which is known, which supports this DBMS, will definitely follow that particular rules. Okay. So in that way, we'll ensure the data is protected, the data is safe, as well as the data is updated properly and the data is secure. Okay. So when it comes to one sample example, we can take here. So there is, let's assume that there are some transactions. So there's a bank account. Okay. So one person is trying to add add an amount to that particular account, and the other person is trying to withdraw. Okay. So there is a person called A and a person called B. A person is trying to withdraw the amount, and B person is trying to deposit the amount. Okay, so if he doesn't maintain the security or the data consistency here, there could be a misplace or misuse of the data can happen here. So these DBMS will takes place, these DBMS will takes care so that there will be no misuse, or there will be no correct, there will be no interruption, or there will be no wrong in the data. Like it can based on the ACID properties what we are going to discuss. So that takes care that there will be no data corruption will happen. Okay, so that is the main aim of this particular DBMS. I'll try to give some examples when we come to the ACID properties, how it can secure the data, how it can maintain the data in consistency. Okay, so coming to RDBMS. Okay. So I just wanted to try to share my arguments. I think it will be helpful to you. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Srinivas.
Yeah. So let's take an example. Okay, this is one T1 account. Okay, so there are two transactions which are happening to this one. One is withdraw, other one is deposit. Okay. Let's assume that we are trying to withdraw some amount or deposit some amount. So this one we are trying to deposit some 100 rupees. And here we are trying to withdraw. Okay. These are the two actions which are happening in this T1 account. So what this say, suppose these two are happening at a particular same point of time. So what this DBMS will do, that makes these particular two accounts or the two transactions which are going to happen in a serializable. Okay, it gives the priority which came in first, and that in that case that it will try to log the account once this particular transaction, let's assume that deposit is going to happen first. So once it is done, then it tries to release that account so that you can withdraw this one. So that happens in milli or microseconds, which we cannot see that difference basically. But even the TVMS will take care so that the data what we have is secure and consistent. Okay, in that way, it makes sure that there will be no data inconsistency. Okay, because if that happens, then like it will be a complete mess up of the data. So you can say, suppose you are trying to deposit 100 and you are able to withdraw 1000. So that is happening means that is something issue like where, because if your account is having only 100 rupees and you are trying to withdraw 1000, and it is happening for you. So there is some issue with your data again here. So which is causing that particular issue. So these type of things which will be maintained by the DBMS and with the properties called asset properties. Okay, I'll let you know what are that asset properties and I'll help you to understand that.
This is Sharath. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I see the people are unable to hear your voice. I mean, they are expecting a bit more louder.
Okay.
So please try to speak
Sure.
loud. Yeah. Thanks for that informing. Continuously.
Yeah. Is that okay now, Sharath? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm able to hear now.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, can you please repeat this point? I mean, the one which you have already told in the last 2 minutes, right?
Sure,
the,
sure.
The two transactions thing.
Yeah, sure. Let's take an example like T1 is the account. Okay. So in that account, like there is no amount which has been there. Okay. Let's assume that there are 0 rupees in this one. And there is two transactions which are going to happen for this particular account. One is depositing 100 rupees and there is a withdrawal which is going to happen here. So when these two transactions happened in this particular database, so that let's assume that this is happening a fraction of second more faster than this one. So first for that, the sequels or the DBMS concept what I'm going to teach you, that will take this as a priority and tries to deposit the amount to this particular account. So now it becomes 100 rupees. So later on it gives an action. So when you're trying to deposit this particular amount, 100 rupees to this account, so what it tries to do is it tries to log this particular account for some time, because there is a transaction which is going to update the data. Okay. So when you're trying to update the data, it tries to log that particular account. Okay. And it does not give a provision for you to read the data from that one. Okay. So once it got updated, okay, the 100 rupees, which is with 0 to 100, which it got deposited, then the withdraw will be, it gives the permission to withdraw the amount from this particular account. So in that way, it makes the transactions in a serializable. Okay. What is a transaction basically? A logical set of actions, okay, logical set of actions which are going to happen, or sequence set of actions which are going to happen for that particular database or particular table. So that is nothing but a transaction, which is nothing but a single unit of actions which are going to perform is nothing but a transaction. Okay, so here deposit is a transaction one, withdraw is a transaction two. So transaction one, once deposit is done, then only it gives an action for the withdraw, which is nothing but a transaction T2. Okay, in that way, it makes the data consistent. Okay, for example, so if you got a provision to withdraw some 1000 rupees here, okay, let's assume that you have gone to the ATM, and because you know that the amount is 100 in this one, like someone has deposited 100 rupees, but you're able to withdraw 1000. So then you are luckiest person here, because you're able to withdraw 1000 instead of 100. That is nothing but there is some issue which happened where you are able to withdraw the amount which is more than that. So there is something which the data is inconsistent here. Okay, so to overcome all these things, we have some properties called asset properties which maintain the data consistent, and which we need to follow that, which the database will follow that one, and which secures the data properly. Okay, this is about DBMS. And when it comes to RDBMS, okay, so what is RDBMS basically? So RDBMS is nothing but a relational database management system. Okay, so relational database management system. What is this relational database management system? So So here, when it comes to the relational database management system, it completely deals with tables or entities. Okay, let's assume that there are two tables which you have. Okay, so there will be a relation which will be maintained between these entities. Okay, and which each this is some table one. I'll let you know what is a table and this thing. So this is table one, and this is table two. Okay. So it maintains the relation between these two tables, and where it helps you to retrieve the data of the particular two tables in a single shot, and which maintains the referential integrity. When we cover the topics of integrities and referential, I'll try to cover that one. So just have in mind, like the relational database is nothing but which has the relationship between the table and which helps to withdraw or fetch the data from multiple tables, and which maintains this one is nothing but a relational database management system. Okay, and which relational management database system like RDBMS will follow all the rules of DBMS. Okay, all the rules of DBMS. Like it will follow the rules of DBMS, and it also has the relationships between the tables or the entities, what we call. Okay, so that is nothing but a relational database management system. So what are the different relational management databases what we have in the market? So coming to this RDBMS, we have multiple softwares which are there in the market. One is like what we are going to do is SQL Server, which is provided by Microsoft. Okay, this is one thing which is RDBMS software, and we have Oracle, which is again a RDBMS. And we have like DB2, MySQL. Okay, and these are like most trending softwares what we call for RDBMS. Okay, let me add here itself, like MySQL, DB2, like basically these are nothing but these are the relational database management RDBMS softwares which are there in the market. Okay, these are all the softwares what we have will definitely follow the rules of DBMS. Okay, and if it is because all these are relational databases, relational database management systems, so this will have the tables and there will be a relation. Okay, it's not that every table will have the relation, but most of the things will have a connectivity between the tables. That is nothing but the relations that will be maintained by the software what we install or like what we deal with. Okay, that is nothing but the RDBMS, and it also gives the security for the data, and it also maintains the consistency. Okay, so this is about DBMS and RDBMS. So let's give 2 minutes of time. Like if you have any doubts, you can just raise your hand and ask. So let me give a brief, like what we have covered here is what is the data, what is database, what is DBMS, and what is RDBMS. Okay, these are 4 things which I have covered now. So if you have some doubts, you can just raise your hand and ask your questions.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be able to unmute yourself. I've made the settings like that. So if you raise the hand, if you have any question, I'll unmute you and then you can speak. Yeah, let me unmute Prashant.
Yeah, hi Srinivas. Can you please explain that what is the main difference between the RDBMS and DBMS? So is there many differences is there?
Sure. So DBMS is nothing but like, as I said, that it follows the ACID properties and which maintains or which stores or which acts as an intermediate between the database as well as the end user. So it maintains all this one. When it comes to RDBMS, these deals with the entities and there will be a relation between these two entities. Let's say, suppose there is a table called course, okay, and there's a table called student. Okay, we can maintain the relation between a student and a course because a student can enroll for a number of courses. So these relationship which will be maintained as part of this RDBMS by using one model called ER model. Okay, there will be a relationship between the entities which will be there as part of this RDBMS. Yeah, that is the main difference basically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prashant, you can lower your hand so that it will not create a confusion the next time. Yep, thank you. Yeah, we can move forward, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't see any hands raised.
Okay. So before going to this asset properties, even we have like there are some databases, like there are some databases which doesn't have the relational data, like the relational entity, like the relational data, relational tables which will be maintained. That is nothing but the NoSQL which is coming, like which is trending now, which doesn't have any relationships between the entities. Like if you come to MongoDB or it could be Cassandra. Okay, these are nothing but like simple examples of this NoSQL where there will be no relationships between the entities there. And here, when it comes to NoSQL, like the data will be maintained as part of file systems, or it could be a key and value kind of stuff. But when it comes to the RDBMS, the data will be maintained as part of tables. Okay, everything will be maintained as part of tables. So that is the major difference. And when it comes to NoSQL, like basically like Facebook or LinkedIn, these things will be using the NoSQL database, because if we have some relations in between the tables, so it will take some time to fix the data, because you need to join multiple tables and collect the information to that. So in that way, like NoSQL will be used in most of the this and the users will be more here. So that is the reason main thing to come to NoSQL for some of the social this thing. Okay. When it comes to this RDBMS, basically this will be this in this RDBMS will have two types. One is OLTP and OLAP, as we call. Okay. So what is this OLTP and OLAP? So OLTP is nothing but online transaction processing. Okay. So this is like when you try to do the transactions and you wanted to see that particular things got updated, and which is a second to second transaction. Say suppose the bank accounts. Okay. Once you deposit, that gets reflected to your account. Okay. That is nothing but a transaction, online transaction processing. Okay. And if you have some if you for example, if you withdraw the amount, then you'll get a message stating that you have withdrawn the amount, and the deposit, like the amount, get deducted from your account. That is nothing but an online transaction. Okay, if you go to some shop and if you buy something, you use some card, okay, the amount gets deducted from your account, right? So that are nothing but an online transaction processing. Okay, but which deals, like RDBMS mostly deals with these OLTP systems, where you have a sudden, like within fraction of seconds, like there will be a reflection to your transactions what you made. So coming to OLAP, so how this OLTP and OLAP difference basically? OLAP is nothing but which is basically used for analysis. Okay, which is mainly concentrates on the analysis of the data. So what is this analysis of the data? So when it comes to this one OLAP, what we call as data warehousing here, the concept will be there for data, like this will be used for data warehousing. So what is this data warehousing here? So data warehousing is nothing but which doesn't contain the real-time data. Real-time data in the sense the current data, the transactional data, like the current data will not be there. So it could be 1 or 2 days back data will be stored as part of this OLAP missions, and where it gives the flexibility for you to fetch the reports out of it. Say suppose, let's take an example here to give the differentiation between OLTP and OLAP systems. So here OLAP system, when it comes to, like say suppose you have a supermarket, okay, let's say we have an example of more supermarket. So So what? Let's go with this example, more supermarket. So when there could be a sales, okay, there could be a sales in certain time where there could be sales could be high for some products. Okay, let's assume that Diwali season. Okay, so when Diwali season comes, there could be a high demand of sweets. Okay, sweets or chocolates, whatever it may be. So how can you identify or how can you help the more supermarket guy to keep the stock in such a way that there will be no customer will be going or returning back or going back without that particular product. Okay, so to identify that, okay, we mainly go for this OLAP systems. Okay, this is a sample example I'm giving. It's like it could be in different scenarios where we be using this analysis services. Okay, so how you can do that? So what this OLAP systems will do is like we'll try to collect the data from past 2 to 3 years. We'll maintain the data in the system and we'll try to pull the reports out of it stating that like what is the sales of this particular sweets in so and so year, okay, and in so and so month and so period. Okay, so if you know that like previous year in 2020, so in this particular Diwali period there is a sweet like there are 100 sweet boxes has been sold from my market, so I need to be prepared to that I need to keep with the same stock. I need to add to that stock and keep the stock place like the stock in place so that there will be no customer will be going out without that particular product. So how can he know that? Because based on the previous data what he has, what we have in the system, so that helps him to analysis in our like that helps him to analyze the data and keep the products in hand so that every customer like he can serve every customer. And there could be some scenarios like there are some products which are not even selling in your supermarket. So how can you identify? By using these OLAP systems, like you can just go back to 2 to 3 years of data and see the items. Is there any items which has been not sold? So you can identify that and you can stop selling that particular items even so that there will be no loss for you. Okay, so in this way, like I have given some 2 examples, like there could be n number of examples when we come to these OLAP systems. Okay, so that way, like it helps the business to grow or to analyze and to see the trends and what are the trends which are happening in the market and what is the stock which is getting sold more and what is the proper like which are the products which are getting sold. Say suppose your supermarket is some in a place where there are more hostels, so there could be a more items which are related to the engaged people, the younger people. Okay, so you need to add more related to that. So how can you identify? You can see the products which have been sold more in last 3 to 4 months, and you can add the items to that so that it helps your like it helps your business to grow. In that way, this OLAP systems will help you out. So that is even this RDB, like the software what we have discussed, that even supports this OLAP systems. Okay, so mainly like this deals with the previous it doesn't deals with the transaction data, it deals with the basically the past or the previous data, and OLTP systems will deal with the current transactional data. Okay, these two are supported by RDBMS. Okay, coming to the asset properties. Okay, what are these asset properties? Basically this asset properties is nothing but atomicity, okay, consistency, isolation, and durability. These are the properties which are deal basically with the DBMS. So every DBMS, like if we say that particular software is a DBMS, then that is nothing but it should follow this asset properties. Okay, and if that doesn't follow that one, then that is not called as a DBMS. So every database software which is maintained should go through this asset properties and it should satisfy these particular properties, else that is not called as a DBMS. So what does this deal with? What does it mean basically asset properties in this? So when it comes to the atomicity, okay, atomicity is nothing but which says that you either you do the complete transaction or you just roll back everything. Okay, so like if a single transaction is going to happen, do complete steps what are there in that particular transaction, or just you roll back all the things. So it doesn't impact the database by that particular transaction. Okay, let's say suppose one example where we can come here is say suppose you are trying to transfer the amount from account A to account B. Okay, let's assume a scenario here. Just taking out. Okay, let's take this as account A or account 1 is trying to transfer the amount to account B or account 2. So here there are two things which are happening. Okay, one is the amount is getting withdrawn from account 1, and the second thing is happening is account 2 is getting deposited with some amount here. Okay, there are two transactions which are involved here. One is withdrawing and the other one is depositing. So here this complete set is taken as single transaction. Okay, let's assume let's take that example as this is taken as a single transaction. So if there is any issue happen, so either it doesn't withdraw the amount from account 1 as well as it doesn't deposit the amount to account 2. So these two things will be rolled back. So if there is an issue which is going to happen, and that makes the account 1 to be as a stable thing, which doesn't reflect the thing what happened, like with the withdraw what has happened from that, and account 2, the deposit which need to be happened will be not there because of some other, let's say suppose there is some issue or there is some power failure which happened. Okay, let's assume, and because of that, like it's going to, like we're trying to deposit the amount at that particular point, there is some power failure and this transaction is not yet successful, like the deposit is not been not got reflected. So in that case, this amount will get back to this account, like what you're trying to withdraw from this one, and this account too will not get deposited with that particular amount. So this atomicity will give that flexibility for us to take this particular transaction as a single unit, either to do completely or to roll back completely. So in this way, it makes the data stable. Basically, the database will be stable here. Okay, that helps. That is nothing but the atomicity. So one second thing is what is consistency. Consistency is nothing but like say suppose there is some reference like we have what you had done is you are trying to transfer some account 1 to account 2. Let's assume. Okay, you have just given some account number which is not there as part of account 2, like which is not there in the bank itself. Say suppose let's assume that, let's take an example here. So account number you are trying to transfer is 1234. You need to transfer. Okay, but there is a case where you have done this 123. You have written as A something. Okay. Okay. This particular account does not even exist in the bank. Okay, but you are trying to do that. So when you do that, it tries to see whether this particular account exists in the system or not. Okay, if that particular account exists only, then it tries to initiate the transfer. Okay, so how that do? Because there are some keys which are there in the database. That is nothing but referential integrities. Okay, and it does not allow any illegal transactions, because if you're trying to do account, like if you're trying to transfer the account to 1234A, which does not exist in the bank itself, and you're trying, and instead of you're trying to push that amount to some other account. Okay, even you without the account number you have specified, that is nothing but you're doing some illegal transactions, because you're trying to transfer to 1234A, and but you're if you're depositing into some XYZ account, it is nothing but an illegal transaction. So it makes that there will be no illegal transactions which will happen. Okay, the account number what you have mentioned itself should be reflected. Okay, the account number what you have mentioned here should get updated with the amount what you're trying to deposit, but not the other account. Okay, in that way, how it can happen, it tries to see the account number what you have entered and see that there is any referential integrity, like if that account exists. If not, then it tries to throw an error. That can be done by using referential integrity, and these maintain the consistency of the database. That makes the database correct. So it doesn't allow illegal transactions. This guarantees you that the transaction is correct. Okay, in this way we can achieve the consistency. And the third thing is isolation. What is isolation? Okay, there could be n number of basically transactions can happen. Say, as you see that these are the two transactions which are happening here. So what is this isolation? Isolation is nothing but if you have multiple transactions which are happening on that particular database at the same particular time, okay, at same particular moment, it makes both the transactions serializable. Serializable in the sense that which happens one transaction after the other. Okay, in that way, like it makes the database concurrent as well as it makes the database isolate for each and every transaction. In this way, we can achieve the isolation. And what about the durability? The last point is durability. Durability is nothing but which guarantees that the transaction, if it is success, that remains stable in the database. Say, suppose you have done a transaction, okay, and then there is a power failure happened. Okay, and there is a power loss and the power failure happened and the data got saved before the power failure into the database. Okay, once you switch on, once you get the power got restored, the data what got updated previously, that will be maintained in the database. That does not correct the database or the transactions. Okay, so once the power got restored, you can see the transactions which you had done previously, that is successful and that maintain the data and that does not impact this particular table or the transaction what you have done. So that guarantees, like the durability guarantees that the targets, like if the target is success, that remains committed and that does not make the transaction to get rolled back. Okay, once it is committed and once it get updated to the database and there is some system crash or something, sorry, there's some power failure happen, that because of that will not reflect to your transaction what you have done previously. Okay, so that helps in basically durability of that particular database. Okay, this is nothing but the ACID properties which every DBMS will follow. Okay, which every DBMS should follow and which every day relational database management system, like all the RDBMS will also follow and which guarantees you these ACID properties. Because of that, like there will be no transactions which are because of that, like the data will be maintained consistently and it will be in secure fashion. Okay, this is about the ACID properties. So wanted to stop here, and if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand.
So there is a question on the chat from Rishma saying that could you please brief about atomicity once?
Okay. Yeah, atomicity is nothing but basically if there are some if the transaction is going to happen, that completely happens or completely rollbacks. As I said that you are trying to do one single unit. One is withdrawing the amount from account A and depositing that to account B. Okay, these two things which are going to happen. So if there is some issue, okay, then these two will not happen here. That is nothing but withdrawing the amount from account 1 and depositing that to account 2. These two will be as single unit. So both will be rolled back. So amount gets back to this account 1 and the deposit doesn't happens to account 2. So all the transactions, like every single unit, like which is called as a transaction, which gets rolled back. So that is nothing but the atomicity. Hope I'm clear here.
Yes. You can confirm on the chat. Please brief the isolation as well. This is from, let me see the name. Yeah, from Soumya.
Okay.
It's about isolation.
Okay. So isolation here is like when there are some n number of transactions, there could be some concurrent transactions which are going to happen on the database. Okay. Say suppose there is a T1 account, as I said, there are 2 or more transactions which are happening on this account. So if 3 or more transactions, if that are happening on the account, there could be a chance of data getting updated incorrectly. So what this consistency or isolation, what this isolation will do is every transaction will be made as serializable. Okay. Say suppose one transaction came in first. So it tries to block that particular record and that doesn't allow that particular record to get updated further. Okay. Once the transaction T1 is done, then it releases the lock. Okay. Basically it tries to lock that particular row and it does not unlock that row till the transaction T1 is done. and even that does not allow the user to read the data out of it when the transaction T1 is going to happen. So other these two, the transactions which are going to happen further will be waiting for the transaction T1 to complete and release the lock so that the other transactions can take place on that particular table. Even if you're trying to hit basically the same table multiple times or concurrently, it makes the transactions in a serializable. In that way, it maintains the isolation, like each and every transaction is isolated and which are happened one after the other. In that way, like we can even maintain the data consistent.
Yeah, we got a confirmation that she got the answer. And
Okay.
Thanks, Srinivas. And we also have one more question from Sai Krishna. It's about recording session. Yes, Sai Krishna, once the session is done, we'll send it out, the recording link in next 1 or 2 hours. We need to upload it to the drive and we have to share the link. We'll do that. And coming to the next question, it is from Swati. She is looking for brief information again on the acid properties. And also we have another question from Sainath.
Okay.
He's looking for the difference between atomicity and durability ones. So these are the 2 questions for now that we have. And if you still have any questions, you can chat on the window. Okay, I'll take up that.
Yeah. So the difference main thing is from the atomicity and durabilities. The atomicity is like when there is some issue in the transaction. Okay, there is some issue in the transaction that does not allow the complete unit to happen. Okay, that is the atomicity. The durability here, durability is once you update the data into the database, that permanently sits in that particular DB. Whenever you wanted to go and hit that particular table, then you can fetch the data what you have updated previously. So in that way, like the durability, like it will be there along still that you drop that particular database or till you drop that particular hard disk or when you try to remove that one. So it is the durability is like it gives you a chance to look the data like till you have that particular database as well as that particular hard drive. Okay, that is the durability. So if there is any power failure happen, say suppose the transaction happened and you wanted, there's some power failure happened to the system and you wanted to restart. In that case also, once you restart the server, okay, you can see the data what you have updated previously. That gives you the feature of durability. Okay, that is the difference between atomicity and durability. Atomicity is nothing but a transaction which is happening and there is some issue in the transaction which does not allow everything to happen. And the durability is nothing but which gives you the provision to save the data for the further use and which even the data is consistent. Okay, the data what you have updated will be reflecting there. So that is the main difference between isolation, the atomicity and durability.
And we have the question, right? The acid properties one.
Yeah.
From Swati. Her question is like, could you please repeat acid properties? You can just brief the acid properties. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, as I said that, just giving a glance again to recollect the things. Acid property is nothing but like which deals with atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity is nothing but if there are transaction which is happening as I say, a transaction which is happening, okay, that will be treated as a single unit. It tries to perform everything and tries to roll back. Okay, that is nothing but the atomicity. And coming to consistency, okay, because based on the consistency, it maintains the because of this consistency, it maintains the referential integrity. Like because of this keys what we have, it maintains the consistency of data and does not allow any illegal transactions which is going to happen. Okay, that in that way, like the data is consistent. When it comes to isolation, say suppose there are n number of transactions which are happening on that particular database or in that particular table, it makes all the concurrent transactions to be serializable and does not reflect irrelevant data or incorrect data. Okay, durability. Coming to durability, it gives a long term for you to save the data and till like if there is any, even if there is some issue and you have just switched off your the laptop got power shutdown or something, the data what has been stored in the database that will never elapse or that doesn't corrupt. Okay. So in this way, like these are the 4 properties which ensures by DBMS. So hope I'm clear on that.
Yes. And we have one more chat from Abdul. His question or his message is like, when working with DBMS, all the asset properties happen without our notice.
Without our notice, yeah,
Yes.
you're right. Without our notice, it takes care. Basically, the software what is there that takes care. But you need to know, like, basically why we are going
Happens
through
in the
this.
behind.
Yeah, you need to know the concept behind, like how it is going to do these activities. Because you can see, like, an example is you're trying to withdraw the amount and at the same time you're trying to deposit. So you can see that reflections happening in the, like you can see that in the account, how it happens. So basically, these are the concepts which are behind that thing, which ensures that the data what you're doing is consistent.
Yes, in continuation to that point, actually, I mean, Abdul's message has some other point. So the asset properties is the task for developers to implement.
No.
No,
Yeah.
let me complete his line. So as an end users of DBMS, why should we know about asset properties? It's just for technical interview. Is it just for technical interview, or I mean, see, his question is like, we are getting the knowledge on asset properties, right? So
yes,
it is,
yes.
See, Abdul, in order to answer your question, yes, it is about having the knowledge. See, when you go to an ATM machine and if you try to withdraw, you'll get the money. Yes, everyone knows that. If you give the count, I mean, if you give the amount and if you enter your PIN, you'll get the amount in your hand. That's okay. But as a DBA, or else as a DB team, or else you might be a developer, or you might be a DBA administrator. Okay, you should be knowing how the process is being happened, what are the things that are being taken care in the behind to make the transaction secure and stable, and it should not alter the table behind in the database unnecessarily or wrongly. So these are the things being taken care by asset properties is what even I understood today with the help of Srinivas. So is it clear? I mean, is my understanding correct?
Yeah, that is the background.
Yes. So we need to.
Yes, yes, sure.
If we have the knowledge, right, definitely, yes, this will definitely help you in the interview. If you say that I know about DBMS, then definitely they might ask you, right? So you may use these properties in the real time or not, but definitely they'll question you in the interviews. So what are the asset properties, and you can brief about these things. So definitely you will be able to answer now. See, the example that Srinivas has shown is a real-time example. This is how the things happen in the real time. It's not about the textbook definition that we need to learn. It's about the real-time things we need to learn, how the textbook definitions are being implemented in the banking sector or whatever it is, whatever the database. If you are into the training institute, or else if you are running any organization, you need to maintain a user database, right? Everything, employee table relates with salary table, designation table, everything. If you talk about one employee, right, his characteristics will be like employee ID, employee name, salary, and in which department he is working in which designation he is working in. So these things, right, will be placed, all this data will be placed in multiple tables, like designation table is one, and employee table is one, salary table is one. So all these tables are interrelated. That is where we talk about relational database. So communication between or retrieving the data from multiple tables in a database is nothing but relational database. Without relational database, we cannot do this operation. Okay. So what are the topics that Srinivas has told are just real time. Okay. So this will definitely help you in the interviews if you're going ahead as a fresher or else as a DBA. If you want, definitely it will help you. This is the basic knowledge that you need to know, where you might not find directly on the internet. And yeah, we have another question. I hope it answered Abdul, Harshit Khan. And coming to the next question, can we transfer data from SQL Server to Oracle database or vice versa?
Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Like even like nowadays, there are some clients like they're asking instead of SQL Server, they wanted to move to Oracle or from Oracle to SQL Server. But there are some steps where we need to do that basically because every database, like as I said, that there will be which will be RDBMS, which will have SQL as a language and having some advanced language for their own. Okay, when it comes to MS SQL Server, there will be T-SQL, transactional SQL, like structure, query language. When it comes to Oracle, there will be P-SQL, PL/SQL. So here, like when you just transfer this PL/SQL to T-SQL, there could be some changes what we need to do. Okay, but we can do that. Okay, so we can do that. There will be some manual intervention will be needed to do that. With that, there is one when it comes to T-SQL to Oracle, like SQL Server to Oracle. Even the Oracle is supporting with one this thing. I could not remember that, but by using that, we give this as an input that tries to give the output as part of the Oracle syntaxes.
Okay.
Okay, so in that way we can do that.
Hope it answered, Kalyan. If we can discuss further in the, I mean, regarding migration, right, from one DB to another DB, we can take that in the last sessions, like in the 3rd week or 4th week, so that we'll get a brief, I mean, at least a bit more knowledge on the SQL, MySQL Server, then we can
Yes.
go through those topics.
Yeah.
And,
so this is like basically the conceptual thing I wanted to let you know, because it does means mostly like before going to that the development concepts, you need to know the background of that. So what is the database and why it came and what does it deal with and what are the properties it has. So that is the background what we have discussed till now. So like today and tomorrow, like coming topics will be the practical sessions mostly, like what are the concepts we have and how we are going to deal with the data, how we are going to insert the data, how we are going to update the data, how we are going to maintain the relationships between the entities at the tables. Okay, that will come in the further sessions. So before going to that, wanted to let you know like software what you're going to use. Okay, that is nothing but the SQL Server Management Studio. Like everyone need to install this one. Okay, I'll try to check like if there is any URL. You can just go to the Google and search that. You can have this SQL Server Management Studio installed in your machines. Okay, this is the prerequisite of the software required for our sessions in the coming sessions. Okay, so the version will be either you can go for like there are in SQL Server, like in SQL Server we have different versions. There are 2000 from 2002, 2019, like 2002, 2008 R2, and we have some 2008 R2. These are the previous versions that we have in SQL Server, 2012, 2014, okay, and 2016, 2017. These are the all the versions that we have in SQL Server. So you can go for any of the version, like it could be 2019, which is available in the net. Okay, you can go and download this particular thing and install in your machine. Okay, here in SQL Server, like once we come to the SQL Server, there are different softwares even that are available, like different flavors. Basically, what you speak, there is enterprise flavor, like enterprise thing, and there is one more called standard, and there is one more called developer. Okay, so here enterprise is nothing but which will be basically used by the real-time exports of real-time servers. Like real-time servers will be using this enterprise and standard. Okay, enterprise will be dealing with, there are some different features for each and every flavor of this particular SQL Server. Okay, say suppose this enterprise will support 1 gigabyte of database, and standard will support only 100 GB. So you can see that there are some differences with this enterprise and standard. But for our training purpose, you can just download this developer edition, which gives you all the flavors of enterprise. And there is some the restriction here is like you cannot host this particular SQL Server developer edition as a server. Okay, which is not applicable to host your database in a developer edition. Okay, but for our training purpose as well as for a development or for your learning purpose, you can go for developer edition. So try to install that, and if possible, if you cannot install 2019, you can go and you can search for 2016, and even you can install the developer edition. So just be in hand, like just have that software installed on laptops or in your desktop what you have, so that will help you to go like to create like you can just practice the sessions what I'm teaching here, and you can enhance yourself. Okay, so this is what I wanted to let you know before this thing. So coming to again the topics, we shall I can jump into that.
Sorry to interrupt. Before going to the topic, we have a question about the edition, like developer version. Is it
Yeah.
a free version or else a paid version?
It's a free version. You can install it.
Okay, and we'll try to provide the installation
Yeah.
step today
yeah,
evening. Okay, so we'll share the document and so that the people can install directly.
Sure. Yeah, we shall do that.
Yeah, and in between, Prashant Shetty, you have raised raised your hand in between. So do you have any question left to ask? Okay, yeah, thanks for confirming, Prashant. Okay, there is a question from one of the participant. Please name yourself with your name. It shows like Samsung M30s. Okay, so it would be easier for us. And the participant is asking about what is MOLAP and ROLAP.
Sorry?
So is it about OLAP and OLTP or MOLAP and the other one is ROLAP? We didn't discuss about it, or OLAP and OLTP, I think, right?
Yeah, we have discussed about OLAP and OLTP.
Yeah, I'm not sure about if this is a database related topic or not, but you have to confirm.
Yeah, basically like
it's
ROLAP.
about OLAP, it seems.
Yeah. Basically, it's like OLAP thing. ROLAP, like I think ROLAP, I think he wanted to have it. Like that is nothing but a relational online analytical processing. Like nowadays, what the trend is happening is they wanted to see the transactions as well as they wanted to fetch the data as part of the reporting. Okay. Previously, like what we used to have is OLAP systems. OLAP systems will deal with the data with 1 or 2 days older. Okay, because that basically reports depends upon the analysis process, like to see the trends and everything. But nowadays, like when you see like some companies or some these things are trying to focus on the real time basically. What they wanted to see is like they wanted to see the complete the database, like what has been like what the updates are going to happen. They wanted to see that one. So
okay.
Yeah, online.
Okay, got it.
Okay, in that way, like we'll go for that ROLAP, and when it comes to MOLAP, that is nothing but a multi-dimensional online analytic processing. Okay, but that is there are some conditions for MOLAP, like which is we can deal only with the limited value because we cannot go further for that. Like if it is there is some limitation, maybe like some GBs of data can be used for this MOLAP, multi-dimensional online analytical processing. And when it comes to ROLAP, like we can deal with the larger volumes. There is no issue with that one. But this is like MOLAP will be faster basically, like because if your database is very small and if you wanted to see that one, that helps. Like it is nothing but a multi-dimensional thing basically. Like all the dimensions, we can forecast that into multi-dimensional. You can see as part of a date, or if you wanted to see the data as part of some product, or it could be like the sales related. So you can enhance or you can forecast the data in multiple dimensions basically. So in that way, and but it cannot deal with the like huger data set. It only deals with the smaller data set. Like sparse matrix will be used in that one. So that is the thing.
Thank you, Srinivas.
Yeah.
Hope you got the answer. Yeah, so clear. That's it. So we are done with the questions that we have in the chat.
Okay.
So if you still have any questions, we can take up. You can post in the chat. Once we are done with another topic, we'll go with the questions again.
Sure. So coming to this, basically, like we have deal till ACID properties, like we are able to cover these topics. So before going to this data model or EF model, so wanted to let you know what is entities, what are attributes, and what is the cardinality of that one. Okay. So today, like mostly, like it will be a theoretical session because just wanted to give the background of the things, like what is what and what is what. So just wanted to let you know. So completely I'll be dealing with the theoretical sessions only today, because even you need to install some software to have hands-on on that one. So that's the reason I'm going only with the theoretical sessions. From tomorrow, this will not be the case. Okay, everything will be the practical, and you'll be dealing with the queries. I'll be showing you how to do all the create the tables or update the things next in the coming sessions. Okay, so coming to the entities. So what is an entity? Basically, entity is nothing but a table. Okay, it's a table. So everything, like the data what we're trying to store in the database will be stored as part of an entity. That is nothing but a table. What does this table contains? Okay, the table contains rows and columns. Okay, this contains rows and columns. So rows and columns. What does this rows define and what does the column define? A rows defines that a number of records, like how many, let's say suppose you are collecting the data about a student. Okay, so like the number of rows defines the number of students in the number of students which are there as part of the particular table, and columns defines are the which characterizes that particular table or that particular entity. Okay, which is called as column. Even we can call this attribute or the attributes which are known as columns, which are called as columns, which is nothing but which characterizes or which defines about that particular entity. Okay, this is nothing but an attribute. Okay, attributes. What are the attributes? What is entity in the sense? Let's say suppose student is an entity. Okay, student is an entity. So what does the attributes define of this particular? What will be the attributes for this particular student? Student can contain student ID, student number, or you can call it student number, student name. Okay, and he can like there could be an age for the particular student, and there could be a class what he's going to like what he is studying, and what is the contact details of the particular student. Okay. So these are nothing but these are the characteristics, or these are the attributes which defines this particular entity. So these are called as attributes. So we are going to create these particular entities or tables in our database and see like how to like insert the data or update the data in that particular entities and the columns. Okay, coming to the cardinality. So here the cardinality, what is meant by the cardinality? The cardinality is nothing but like how the data is dealt between one entity to the another entity. Okay, say suppose we have some relationship between a student as well as a course. Okay, a student can enroll for multiple courses. Okay, there is nothing but one student can enroll for multiple courses. Okay, so that is nothing but one to many. So one student can enroll for multiple courses. Okay, but one student can contain only one student number or one ID for him. There is nothing but one-to-one cardinality. Okay, let's take an example here. Let me open. So here, when it comes to the cardinality, there are these are the these are the different types of cardinalities. One is one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. These are the three different cardinalities. So what does this one-to-one mean? So one-to-one means that like every record, like one record in this particular entity will be related to one record in the other entity. Okay, so here student number, okay, can contain only one for each student. Okay, and when it comes to one-to-many, one student can enroll for multiple courses. Okay, say suppose one table we have a student table here, and we have a course table. Here we have some code C1 and code C2 and code C3. And here you have a student S1 and S2. Okay. Here S1 can enroll for C1 as well as C2 as well as C3. Okay. And S2 can also enroll for C1 as well as some C2. Okay. Here one student can enroll for multiple courses. This is nothing but one-to-many cardinality and many-to-many. Okay, let's take an example for many-to-many, books and authors. Okay, there are some books. Okay, there is one table called books, and there is another table called author. So there is one book called B1, which let's take that there are three authors, A1, A2, and A3. There are three authors. There are two books. Okay, So one book, D1, can be written by multiple authors. It's not that one author only can write one book, right? So one D1 can be written by A1 author as well as A2 author. And A1 author can also write B2 book. Okay. So it doesn't mean that like one book can be written by one author, or one author can write one book. So it is like many books can be written by many authors, or one author can write many books. Okay, in that way we'll have many to many relationships. So coming to this thing, like the practical thing, we can come across the tables how we are going to maintain all this, like one-to-one cardinality or one-to-many cardinality and many-to-many cardinality. For this one, to maintain this one in the entity relation model, we'll have some concept called bridging. Okay, to do that. So once we come to the development, like when we try to start this thing, the coming topics, I'll try to explain you how we can achieve this multiple many-to-many cardinality, one-to-many cardinality, one-to-one cardinality. So this is like a general concept. What you want, you need to have an idea. Basically, what is the cardinality mean and how many types of cardinality we have. Okay, so this is about cardinalities. Okay, coming to this SQL Server. Okay, once you install this one, like, this is about the cardinalities and this is about the versions. So coming to this development thing. Okay, like coming to the training thing. So first, this is the tool which we are going to use. This is called as SSMS tool, SQL Server Management Studio. This is the tool which we are going to see for all the sessions which we are going to conduct. And here, like, I wanted to give you some brief on this particular tool because you may not be having an idea on this. So this is called as Object Explorer. Okay, when you just click on here, you can see all the data, all this stuff here. And so for every this particular instance, we'll be having an instance thing. So just wanted to show you. So when you just connect to this one, you can see here the server type will be a database engine and the server name will be a local host. Like my local host is a desktop and D5 something. And the authentication will be by default Windows. You can just go and click on connect once you install this one. Okay, the installation steps will let you know. So once you install this one, you can see the databases window here, like on the Object Explorer, where you can, you may not have these all the databases here. Okay, you can have only this one, system database, database snapshots, and security, server objects, replication, all these things will be available. So this is like about the tool what you're going to have. And here in the system databases, we have some 4 different databases will be there. And I'll explain you about these 4 in the comment session. And when you wanted to, like, for our session, for our training, I'll be using some database one called SQL Training 01. I'll just for our training sessions, and we'll go with that. Okay. Okay. Till that, is that clear? Or you wanted any, like, you have any doubts? So wanted to start the session here because you need to have this one to have the practical thing. We'll try to share the the installation process, and from tomorrow, like, it will be completely the practical things that you're going to deal with. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Any questions, sir?
As of now, no. But
Okay.
if you still have any questions, you can ask in the next session, or else you can ask now in next 5 minutes or 10
Yeah.
minutes. We are left with 9 minutes. So if you still have any questions, you can post, or if you have any, I mean, if you want any guidance, like if you are looking for a job in DBA, if you want to share your experience on your interviews, you can share in this 9 minutes. Okay. If someone has no question, then you can share such experiences so that it will help others to understand and how to prepare. It's not only about giving the training sessions, it's about helping each other. Okay, in the meantime, if there are no questions coming, so if someone of you, I mean the participants, you might have noted down the things, whatever the topics that Srinivas has shared. So if you made some notes, like running notes kind of while listening, so if you written something, please share it. Please share those screenshot to our WhatsApp number, or I mean, yeah, in a Team SMF WhatsApp number. So we'll validate it, and if everything is good, I mean, if there is any corrections needed, we'll let you know the corrections. If not, if everything is good, then definitely we'll share the notes with everyone among us. So it will help others, right? That's it. You might be able to write the notes, or you might not be able to write the notes. So if you write, let's share it with everyone. But before sharing, right, we need to verify. It should be, I mean, by mistake, you might write something, I mean, you might write in other way the sentence. So definitely we'll correct it and let's share it among us so that it will be helpful for everyone. So the main intention behind having sessions and getting in touch, right? So it is just about helping each other, sharing the knowledge, whatever you have. So it is only about sharing the knowledge and helping others. That's it. And if you are, let's say, Prashant Khanna, he's good at, let's say, he's good at his, his subject. If he is willing to give training sessions to the other participants who are interested to learn, definitely he can become a trainer from Team SMF side, and he can share his knowledge. Likewise, if any one of you are interested to give training, and then let's say you are more good at maths, like 8th, 9th, 10th. So if you want to take up few sessions on maths, then definitely you can come up to the WhatsApp number, Team SMF, you can reach us. You can definitely voluntarily train the people who are looking for training. Okay, yeah. So I see there are no questions till now. So hope it is good. And just now Akhil has posted our Team SMF WhatsApp numbers. You can anytime ping us on the WhatsApp. And thank you all for joining in. Let me stop the recording for the day.